Heyo, what's up, guys? Rob King here. Alright, so my chosen game for analysis number two would be Pokemon Sword version. It's a game for the Nintendo Switch. Now, Pokemon is an interesting game series because if you look at it, it's got a lot, it's kind of similar to Final Fantasy, the series, in the respect that it's been around for quite a while and has seen many iterations. And versions. And you can kind of follow its progress with the upgrade of Nintendo console systems through the years, starting with the original Game Boy, of course, the original Pokemon Red and Blue versions. So, in that respect, the Pokemon game series kind of does follow with that classic sort of upgrade logic. But there's a lot of aspects of the game that I think sort of break it away from that as well. For one thing, you can start with the system. If you take a look at the Nintendo Switch, when you think about this console, the one I have in particular is a Switch Lite, so it's the handheld version. Think about this console in and of itself. This is sort of an example of an alternate history of video games because it itself breaks away from that upgrade logic. This is not like the PS4 or the PS5 or the Xbox. This is a system that was made with gameplay in mind, with user experience in mind. It was not made with cutting edge graphical technology in mind. So with that in mind, how this console system in and of itself sort of breaks away from that upgrade logic and focuses more on the user experience and the sort of gameplay presented. Pokemon kind of followed in that same logic, in keeping with Nintendo's sort of tradition of that. And so it's a game that, while it has advanced with the consoles, with Nintendo's consoles through the years, it's a game that's also largely remained the same. It's still you still even playing the newest version, newest iteration, Pokemon Sword or Pokemon Shield, you're still getting that same essential experience that you got in the very first Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue versions. It's that you capture your Pokemons, you train them and level them up. As they gain experience points, they learn new moves, and you use these moves strategically against your opponent's Pokemon, using type advantages and disadvantages to overcome your opponent. Now, this also has a lot in common. And if you look at the ancient history of video games, forgive me, I gotta pull it up here on the have it ready to go. One example would be like if we look at Kriegspiel, it was one of the first sort of combat games. It had a lot to do with military strategy, and going back even further than that, Mancala, those ancient games from Mesopotamia and Egypt, they were all about counting and capturing, and I think that's interesting because Pokemon in and of itself is also about counting and capturing. I mean, what's one of the primary goals of the game? One of the primary goals of the game is to become the Pokemon champion and to defeat the master in in strategic combat. But there's also an alternate path, a sort of secondary goal to the game that's just as important, and that goal is to complete your Pokedex. So it's all about capturing as many Pokemon as possible and completing the Pokedex so that you have captured one of every type of Pokemon, and in this sense, you become a collector and a preserver of a fictional species. So it gives you another role beyond sort of that combat strategy role. So in one sense, you have the combat aspect where you take your Pokemons and you battle each other with your Pokemons, and it's like a chess game. You're trying to figure out which move is going to give you the advantage over your opponent. But on the other hand, you have the collecting aspect that really has nothing to do with combat whatsoever, but simply exploring and finding and recording. So it is and when you think of Pokemon, you don't really think of something that's high intensity. So it is a game that can really be used to meditate and relax, which gives it a purpose beyond just competition and the feeling of victory. Um, Once I remember my girlfriend saying to me, "I really like Pokemon because it doesn't stress me out. I don't have to speed button mash or worry about I'm going to die any second. You can take your time, you can think your moves out, you can strategize. It is a game that allows for that sort of meditative experience. Anyway, that's my time. Hopefully, this gives you an idea of what I'm going to talk about in my paper. Thank you guys very much.